Hi, welcome to the Data Analysis and Policy Show. And in this show, I'm going to talk to you about how a macroeconomic model can help you. And we are going to look at the case of Guyana that has found oil, how a macroeconomic model can help you with data with simulation. So if you are in the Eastern Caribbean, in the Dutch Caribbean, and you want to know more about how a macroeconomic model can help you, then stay tuned for this episode. My name is Rudy Calmera, and as you know, every Friday I bring you Data Analysis and Policy Show. That's the show where we talk about data and we turn data into analysis and we create the right policy. Whether you are an investor, whether you are a policy advisor, you can be a financial analyst, or you might be an economist in the region, in the Caribbean region, or you might also be a business owner that wants to make decisions based on policy and based on data. Then this episode is going to help you. Now, I'm going to go right in. Guyana. I heard that Guyana found gold. This week it was said that Guyana in the Caribbean found gold. And now, how would you approach this? Would you be glad? Would you be happy? I heard that a lot of people in Guyana already are talking about what a great opportunity this is. The IMF talked about Guyana, that the economy of Guyana in 2024 is going to be based on 40% on gold, on oil. So you might find that it is great for Guyana, that there are going to be a lot of tax revenues, that there are going to be a lot of economic activity, everything cool because they found oil. Now let me tell you how I look at this and how a macroeconomic model can help you and can help the people from Guyana. Now, I'm not saying anything about whether it is good or bad, etc. I'm just telling you with my macroeconomic perspective. Thank you if you have any questions, ask them. I'm going to tell you from my macroeconomic perspective and from my view of having data, etc., what is going to happen, what can possibly happen, and what questions you need to ask yourself if you are in Guyana, if you are a policymaker in Guyana, if you are a Ministry of Finance in Guyana, maybe you are the Ministry of Business in Guyana. What kind of questions? And those questions I ask them based on my economic framework that I've created. I have created an economic framework in a spreadsheet. It's an economic model for already 10 islands in the Caribbean. And this can, of course, be created also for Guyana. It can be created for any island in the Caribbean, any island in the world. And you can also use this framework for any country when you analyze the country. Now, the first thing is, if you want to analyze the economy of Guyana, all those indicators they are looking at, how much dependent it is on oils, how much dependent it is on other crops, how many on other products. If you want to analyze that, then you need 54 variables. So you only need to focus on 54 variables, and I can give you those 54 variables, and based on those 54 variables, you are going to be able to make the whole economy, all the variables, the relevant variables in the economy. So that's how a macroeconomic model, how you build a macroeconomic model, because you find those 54 variables, and those 54 variables, if you have it for any country, United States, any islands in the Caribbean, any country like Guyana, when you have those 54 variables, then you are able to create all the variables, all the indicators that people want to look at when they analyze an economy. So that's a straightforward method that I have created. My mentor also helped me create it, and I have that system for Curacao and for Guyana, for all the islands and for all the countries. So look at the 54 variables, and then you will get a snapshot of the Guyana economy, what it's doing. The second thing that an economic framework can help you, once you have created that economic model based on those 54 variables, then you want to look at what is actually going to happen. What do you think? You can do some simulations in the economy of Guyana. For instance, if you suddenly get a lot of foreign reserves, direct foreign investments, if you invest a lot of money in Guyana economy, it's going to maybe people are having dollars and they want the Guyana currency. So it can, the first effect is it can lead to an appreciation of the Guyana currency. If the Guyana currency is not pegged to the dollar, if it's a moving currency, then the first thing, because of those foreign direct investments, it can lead to an appreciation, the currency becoming stronger against the dollar. Because if you have a lot of dollar and you want a boom, you want to invest in that economy, then it can lead, if there is a flexible exchange, it can lead to appreciation. Now, that appreciation, so the Guyana currency becoming stronger, means that the export sector can become less competitive. So if Guyana is trying to increase tourism, tourism might be very expensive, become very expensive due to all those investments taking place. The second thing, when you invest a lot in the Guyana economy to create, to build the economy because of the oil, then what's going to happen is demand is going up, and if there are same kind number of products in Guyana, that means that it can lead to inflation. You understand? When it leads to inflation, that means for the people in Guyana, it means that possibly their purchasing power, the number of money that they have in their hands, that they're holding in their pockets, that can be crowded out through inflation. You see? So imagine there are two types of people. One person who gets employment due to the boom in the economy, and other people who don't get employment. The people who are maybe the people who are older people, 65 and plus. They are not working, they are inactive, or they are unemployed. It can mean that because of the demand in Guyana, now you have certain people who have to pay higher prices, higher food prices, higher renting prices, higher building costs, higher costs in the real sector. You see? So it can crowd out the purchasing power of certain people. That's the number, that's the effect on inflation. The other one, because other people, all the people are focused on the oil sector, that means that's called the Dutch disease. And what can happen is that the focus will be only on this oil economy, the new oil economy. People are spending a lot, and that means that all the persons are working in the oil economy asking high wages. That means if you are a local business owner, it can mean that you cannot get enough people anymore, and then you are not competitive. You see, on one side you have oil becoming a big boom of the economy, but it can crowd out the other sectors. If there is not the right policy to use that oil money, to use that investment to transform the economy, to make the economy very competitive, to invest in infrastructure, to invest in education, etc., it can mean that the other sectors, not oil sectors, will be killed or can be killed. Those are the effects. That happened in a lot of countries where they had an oil boom and then the other private sector was not developed. In the case of Curacao, for instance, we have a refinery for, I think, over 100 years already, and we were very dependent on the economy, on the oil. Right now, from 86 till now, we have been 23 years. We have been having this 33 years. We have been having this oil refinery, and right now in December, the oil is almost the refinery can be closed. You see, and then if you become too dependent on the oil or on the refinery, and you do not invest in the rest of the economy, that means that you have a one pillar economy, or you only have oil and you have tourism. Okay, so that we should guide the people from Guyana, or look at the people from Guyana, that they keep investing in the economy. Now, another thing which can happen is when you get such a boom of the oil industry, people will get more money. What will they do with that money? They can invest and they can consume. You see, they can invest the money, or they can consume the money, or they can save the money. But let's assume that the people consume the money. What you will see is that the imports will go up. So people will get more money, people will get more income, and now they can invest that, they can consume that by importing. So you would see a lot of imports. On the one hand, dollars from the oil industry is coming in, and on the other hand, you see that the imports are increasing. And when the imports increase, you can be very dependent. You can become very dependent from a high imports. Now, what does that mean for the balance of payments? You see, so once you import a lot, because you spend that oil money, then you are dependent on the oil business. And once the oil price goes down again, now you are not receiving the revenues, or less revenues, and you are still importing a lot. That also can happen. So that effect on the balance of payments also need to be checked. The other area, and this is the opportunities, you can use that oil money to create a fund, like Norwegian countries. They have oil and gas, etc., and they use that money to fund an investment fund, and that investment fund, for instance, invests in education, that everybody gets a high education or get a good education. So you can be using that money as an investment in education. Then you educate the people from Guyana, high skilled, and you move the economy, not only oil dependent, but you move the economy towards a data economy, towards a smart economy. So you can be using that if you have the right strategy, the long-term strategy. You can invest part of that money in education. You can invest part of that money in infrastructure, building the infrastructure in Guyana, improving the infrastructure, the roads, maybe transportation, maybe the harbors, maybe the airport. You can do that. I made a quick query about how to get to Trinidad, how to get to Guyana from Curacao, and I saw that you need to go to Trinidad and Tobago, stay 1 day in there, and then move back to Georgetown to Guyana. So you need more transactions. You need more people coming in. It needs to be able. I need to be able to go from Curacao to Guyana in one way without going to Trinidad and Tobago, etc. So you need to do something about the air traffic because more people want to do business with Guyana. The other thing is we have a couple of seconds, but I will continue a little bit more because I really want to give you this. All those things. The other thing is you can transform your economy by investing that oil money into renewables. Imagine in Guyana you have renewables, you have solar power, you have wind power, you have water power, and you also have electric vehicles. You can have ICT. So what the options are, the opportunities are to use part of this money not only for consumption, not only for spending social benefits, etc. Of course, you need to do that. Part of that, and that is up to the politicians. So I'm not saying you don't need to do that, but I'm looking at it as an economist and seeing that part of that fund of the dollar money, you really, really need to invest that into infrastructure because only when you invest, you will get a long-term return. You see? So if you spend that money in luxuries, if you spend that money in only increasing the salaries of the public servants, if you spend that money into increasing the pensions of 65 people, if you spend that money to increasing the money for the social benefits, if you only do that, what will happen is you will get that money, you will spend it, and you will see that the imports go up in Guyana, okay? And then once something happens with the oil price, because the oil price is not going to stay up all the time, oil is a very political sensitive commodity. That means that in the United States or the Arab countries or whatever, they can decide to just supply more. They can decide to supply more, and then the dollar price or the price for the oil will go down. And that once you have a huge social package, spending package, for instance, like Venezuela, and the price of the oil goes down, then you have a lot of problem. You have a lot of problem because you have a lot of debt. So one way to do that is actually thinking about the long term, investing. Once you invest into the infrastructure in Guyana, you invest into the schools of Guyana, you invest into transforming that economy of Guyana towards a more modern economy, and everything is moving towards the data economy, towards the, like blockchain. I talked about blockchain a while ago. Invest in the universities, invest in the roads, invest into the digital infrastructure. Because, for instance, in Curacao, we have good infrastructure, digital infrastructure, but there is a lack of new investments into the digital infrastructure. Digital infrastructure, I mean the connectivity of the homes, the digital, everything connected, high internet speed. All the schools have high internet speed. The processes within the government, the digital processes, everything that once you get a permit, etc., it needs to go smooth. The website of the government, those digital assets, most of the time people do not see that. They only see the roads. They don't see the digital assets. For instance, I have to tell you, in Curacao, we are one of the international financial centers. We used to be very, very progressive with the digital assets, but right now things can be improved. Things can be improved. We improved our airport, but especially the digital assets. Everybody wants to become a smart nation, but you cannot become a smart nation if your data architecture, your data infrastructure is not up to par. Now, what I mean, I have, next to being an economist, I also have experience with the digital infrastructure, because in my one of the jobs I did, I worked with with the banks, ING Bank, Rabobank in the Netherlands, etc. And I saw how important it is to digitize your economy. So for a nation like Guyana, there is an example, for instance, to digitize uh, the to use the funds to digitize the government, to train the people in the government. For instance, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Business, etc. It can be improved, and you will get your returns. So the choice needs to be not only on spending money, so spending that money and make it inclusive so that small businesses, everybody can benefit from that oil. But you have to see that oil as like liquid gold, but the river of liquid gold, you don't know when it's going to stop, or you don't know what the price is of the gold, the liquid black gold. You see it? Now, and I'm going to give you, so because you don't know exactly when it's going to stop, that means that with that money, you don't have to be like, hooray, everybody spending. You have to think strategically, long term, 30 or more years, you have to think about that. You have to think and you have to design, etc. One other thing that I didn't talk about is migration. You could be having a lot of money in the oil business, but if you do not make your people, give your people, your own labor force, you don't give them opportunities. They are not marketable. They are not. You cannot put them in the oil business because they are not trained, etc. If you don't have that, what you will get is immigration. So what you will set is you can get a lot of people moving from Venezuela, to Guyana, or moving from all over the Caribbean to Guyana. Those people should not be, maybe they are not wealthy people, but maybe they are poor people, poorer than the people from Guyana. So what you will have is a booming oil industry and then a lot of immigrants. And if your population grows with 20% or 25% with poor people, that means that your GDP per capita, your income, your annual income per capita is actually maybe not increasing. You see, so you can be rich, wealthy on paper, but it doesn't show up in the numbers. So that means that immigration also needs to look, what kind of people do you need? For instance, I create macroeconomic models, so I can imagine that the people from Guyana, the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Business, Ministry of Tourism, that they can use my knowledge to get them, to help them move the economy. Okay? But if you don't have a selective policy of immigration, then everybody will pour. Imagine the whole Caribbean pours into Guyana, and then your average GDP will be lower. Okay? Because a lot of people think that immigration means great things. I only talk about the economic effects because if 20% or 20% more people go, or 50% more people go to Guyana, it has the repercussions for your infrastructure, for your housing, for everything. That means that there's going to be a higher demand for housing, etc. And maybe your own people cannot pay that. Okay, so how does an economic model fit into this picture? The macroeconomic model will help you for Guyana. It can help you to simulate these effects, long term and short term. What's going to happen? Imagine if you have a macroeconomic model for Grenada, for Guyana, with all the 54 critical indicators. Then what you have is you have a consistent framework with all the data needed for Guyana. You also have a special sheet with the oil in there. You have a sheet with the tourism sector and maybe the agricultural sector. And now you're going to simulate, what if we get $100 million of foreign direct investments? What will happen with the imports? What will happen if we raise taxes? We raise taxes, how much taxes will we get? What will happen with the budget deficit? What will happen if we increase the um, the, the benefits, the social benefits? What will happen if 20% more people immigrate? You know, what will happen with the export, with the competitiveness of the export? You see, what will happen if tourism grows or tourism declines? What other kind of businesses can we stimulate? What will happen if the government invests into the infrastructure? And what kind of infrastructure? It can be investing in roads, investing in digital automatization. What will happen? So a macroeconomic model, and I've created 10 of those macroeconomic models, 8 for all the Eastern Caribbean islands, and then 2 for Curacao and St. Martin. This macroeconomic model is like a tool to help you design your policy, to help you check what the effects are. And it can be also help you with the 70 Sustainable Development Goals, because everything is in graphs. You can analyze the history, etc. So I'm open for if there are people from Guyana, and I already tried to contact people on Guyana regarding this. I'm open to support Guyana with the macroeconomic analysis, and I'm also open to organize a workshop especially for people in the macroeconomic sphere for Guyana. And it can be people in the Ministry of Finance, the people in the Ministry of Business, Ministry of Authority of Tourism, policymakers, investors, business owners, etc. I have created the macroeconomic models for the last 10 islands, and my goal is to create economic models for 58 small islands in the world, but I am also interested in Caribbean islands, Latin American islands, etc. And this is an opportunity. So if you want to know more about this, I want you to please share this information with as many people as possible. It's also on YouTube. So if you are looking at it from YouTube, just subscribe to this channel. If you are looking at it from Facebook, just comment below and give me your thoughts about what are the main challenges that you see for Guyana, and also what are the main challenges, opportunities that you see in Guyana, and what are your thoughts about it. I also plan to share this on LinkedIn, so if you are looking at this in LinkedIn and you know people in Guyana, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Business, etc., who want to participate in this free workshop where I show one of the macroeconomic models that I have created, one of the 10, and maybe I will also show all the 10 of them. I will show you what is possible. So if you know any people who need to know more about this on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook, please comment below and type their names below, and we will contact them. Now, if you are, before I go, if you are on Facebook, you can become part of my community, because the community is the community of people that look at data and turn data into analysis, and turn analysis in the right policy. And you could be a policymaker, a financial analyst, of an economist. You can also be a business owner in the region, Caribbean region, or you can be an investor in the region. And if you are interested in data, I don't go to the newspapers and I just say something, I guess. I always look at the data. That's why I told you at the beginning of this show that I want to look at the 54 variables that are critical to understand the economy of Guyana. And once we have those 54 variables, then it's going to be um, much more easier to create the economic model. Of course, it needs to be in a project or somebody needs to finance the project. We can talk about that. But once you create that economic model, it is like we have created a helicopter, because we can fly in the future, to the future, 10 years ahead, through a simulation. We can fly to the future and look at what the effects are of things that measures that we take today. We can go back and look at the data, historical data, what is happening, what has happened. We can simulate. We don't have to try out policies in the economy right away, but we can simulate the policies. And these macroeconomic models, it's very difficult to make them, but I am a specialist in making them. And I learned that from the best, which is a doctor in economy who has created his PhD, has written his PhD on this specific topic. So that's what I focus on. That's what I do, and that is my dream, to help to invest in the lives of the people and the businesses in these small economies. And I want to invite you to participate, because it's not only me talking, but if you are on LinkedIn, YouTube, and on Facebook, and you are looking at this, give me your comments below. Two things before I leave you, and I leave the best for the last. The first thing is, you can become part of the community if you are on Facebook and you click on a message, and once you click on the message, my virtual chatbot assistant, which is Anna, will onboard you for free, without paying, into my community. And what do you get when you are in my community? You get more information about the webinars, about when my program to educate yourself regarding data opens. You will be the first one to hear about it. And I give a lot of value on these shows, but there are certain things I only give to the community. So you don't stay out there. If you are on Facebook, just click and a message. Once you click on a message box will open, and once you answer a couple of questions that Anna, my chatbot assistant, sends to you, you will be onboarded and you will be on my list. I will never share that list with anybody, but the list will be to know more about you. Okay, so now I leave you with the best. Imagine, I heard that Exxon is the one who found oil. Imagine what would happen if the government of Guyana starts buying stocks of Exxon. So with every, let me say, $1 they receive, they use in taxes or whatever, they imagine this. I'm not saying you have to do this, but just think with me. Every $1, that 50%, so 50 cents go into a fund. And then the other 50 cents goes into, public spending, etc. The good things. But 50% goes into a fund, investment fund. Now, from that 50% in the investment funds, 25 cents, now 50%, so 25 cents goes into buying stocks of Exxon. And then 25% goes into investing in education, etc., infrastructure, etc. What do you think will happen? Why would you invest into stocks of Exxon while Exxon is, exploring and taking your oil out? Because the more profit Exxon makes, the more profit you will make in the future. Exxon is in the whole world, and because you have part of the stocks of Exxon, then you have leverage power, you have buying power, you have decision-making power. That's one of the things that we did not do on Curacao. The refinery was from Shell. The government of Curacao didn't have they didn't buy the stocks. They spent the money that they rented the refinery. I'm not criticizing them, but I'm just showing you that what you can do. So if you don't have stocks, the government of Curacao did not buy the stocks of Shell. You see? So when Shell had to leave, I think in '86, Shell was gone, and the government could not say, hey, you have to stay because I have your stocks. I have a decision power. The stocks of Shell went up, sky high. And we at Curacao, we were left with the problems. We were left with, a lot of pollution. I'm not saying anything against Shell, because our politicians on Curacao, we signed and we said, hey, we want that refinery for $1, and we will take care of the spoil, the problem. We will take of the environmental problem. And then now the stocks of Shell are sky high, and we don't have an investment fund. You see? So I'm giving you this best advice. The advice is don't say, hey, Exxon is an external company and a foreign company and all the money is going out. No, buy the stocks of Exxon. All the people, all the companies that are going to drill that oil and make a profit out of it, you should, as the people of Guyana, and maybe as the government of Guyana, one recommendation is buy their stocks. Because by buying their stocks, you will gain. How it works is, the stocks will go up because, hey, Exxon will say they found oil in Guyana, and if you have part of these stocks, now once they drill it, you will get. So this is not investment advice saying, hey, Rooney said buy Exxon stocks, etc. I'm just giving you the advice as an economist, etc. I'm not giving you an advice anything. I'm just telling you what is possible. It is up to you to decide to buy stocks of Exxon or whatever company. Every investment is risky. But one way that a country or that the people from Guyana can profit, possibly, is just by buying stocks. And of course, you need to analyze the stocks, the fundamental of Exxon and everything. But it's just the idea. The idea is they're going to drill oil. You can be owner of them. This is a strategic advice or a strategic observation. Because it's not an advice. It's an observation that many people don't think. On the long run, imagine if every child born in Guyana owns stocks from the companies that are drilling oil. Imagine a child born in 2 years in Guyana, and you can actually calculate that with a macroeconomic model. You know exactly how many people are born and how many people are going to die, what the population is going to be. Imagine every person in Guyana has a stock of the companies that are drilling oil. What does that mean? That means possibly that when they turn into 18, they are born today, tomorrow, in 2 years. Once they are 18, their stocks would probably go up, and that they pay their whole education, the university, they pay it through the stocks. You see? So it is investing next to consumption. If you consume all those things, it will be just like, sorry guys for Venezuela, it will be just like Venezuela. You consume everything, social spending, and you have no way of looking at the future. I did not talk about the environmental effects, but there will many people in my network on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, they will also talk about environmental effects. Guys, next week I'm going to give a workshop, and the workshop is going to be about the 54 variables that you need to have so that your problem with country data is solved. And if you like this page and you like this video, but especially like this page, and if you are onboarded into my community, I will give you the link to that special workshop. Only if you are part, not if you like it, if you are part of my community, because it has to be a special workshop. The other people, only the people in my community will get it. So if you want to know more about the 54 variables that you need to have so that you don't ever have to have any problems with data, country data for every country, not only Guyana, Curacao, St. Martin, United States, all the data, I have a solution for you to get all the economic data that you need by only looking at the 54 variables. And I'm going to teach that next week. So please share this. We are already 41 minutes. Share this and like this page, and also especially like this page. Not only like this video, but like this page. Okay? Thank you very much, and see you next week at 4. If you have any questions, please go below and ask the questions. Okay? See you. Bye.